Today we are going to discuss about utility softwares. Utilities softwares are under system software category. First of all, the definition of utility software. Utility software is a software designed to help analyze, configure, optimize, or maintain a computer. So, what a utility software is, the purpose to analyze a computer. It needs to analyze the computer. It can support to configure a computer. It can optimize a computer, or it can maintain. So these are the main features. There are four main features related to utility softwares. So this utility software is a mandatory component once we are running a computer, especially each and every operating system support has some sort of utility softwares inbuilt. These are inbuilt softwares. That means, as an example, if we take Windows, these softwares are shipped or contains in the operating system while we are installing the operating system. Clear? So now, what's a utility software is? It's a software that shipped with or contains in the operating system by default, and these softwares are with the purpose of analyze, configure, optimize, or maintain a computer. So it has different components or different aspects related to the operating system, and mainly it depends on the operating system, or it it runs on top of this operating system. Right? So this is a part of operating system. Okay, so this is a utility software. Now, next we will discuss about types of operating systems. Sorry, utility softwares. There are different types. Actually, I have mentioned only three, but you can have many. System utilities, file management utilities, storage utilities. So, under system utilities, there are two main: antivirus and clipboard manager. Under file management utilities, recovery manager and archivers are there. Store under storage utilities, there's backup. Actually, I have mentioned about few main types of utility softwares, but there are a lot. So if you know about these five, that means you have worked on a utility software. So what are the main types? What are the most usable, or majority of the cases what we are using these types of utility softwares? I hope it's clear what's utility software and what are the main types of utility softwares. So, no need to move too much. Thank you for this present sort of theories. So, first of all, I'll go to antivirus programs. Now, I'm going to present about the inbuilt antivirus program in Windows operating system. We will do it in practical way. Now I'll click my Windows button, then I'll type antivirus. Now I just click few letters in here. You may see virus and threat protection is visible in the top. I'll click this. Once it clicked, we can see there's another view. So this view is mainly for the virus and threat protection. So I haven't install this separately. This is inbuilt software. This virus and threat protection is in inbuilt way. Now we will discuss about how to handle this. This is not mainly focusing on antivirus program or the virus and threat protection program, just to give some sort of understand. but I'll go through few important facts. Now you may see the current threads. What are the threads available? If this is not in green color, you may see a small green color tick is here. That means there are some threats or some sort of vulnerabilities. Are there vulnerabilities means system holes that can attacked by another program or some sort of program or some sort of human or whatever way. There's a small patch or some sort of place that can someone access, some sort of uh, open environment to do some sort of unwanted attack. So that is the vulnerability or vulnerable system is vulnerable, right? Now there are different options are available. I'm discussing all of these again uh, very clearly under security. There's another security part. Just I want to show you these are the features that you may try these things. I'll do some sort of work with you in the same way. Once we are doing the security lesson, there's a information security lesson at that time we are doing, but for now you may understand this is a antivirus program or virus and threat protection. It's not antivirus. There are a lot of features are there like ransomware protection. We will discuss step by step. For now, this is a inbuilt utility software, or this is a utility software for security purposes. And a clipboard manager. What's a clipboard manager is, it's just very simple thing. Once you copy some sort of text or some sort of image, it stores in your computer. Once you copy some sort of text or image or something using a menu or using a shortcut, most common shortcut is control c. If you copy something, it stores in your computer. Where it stores or how is this by how this activity happens here is using this clip, clipboard manager, right? So these are the system utilities under utility softwares. First category is system utilities. Under system utilities I have discussed two main system utility, the two components that I want to discuss. File management utilities, right here. Recovery management manager. Recovery manager is something that is built on Windows. If you are using some other operating system, there should be obviously, but for now I'm presenting about how to perform recovery manager in Windows. I'll click again my Windows button and then I'll tile recovery, right? Now once it comes to, this is the path. You may see control panel, panel items, recovery. I just go in the shortest path. You can create a recovery drive, open a system restore, and configure restore. So you may go either option. Now what's a recovery is, if your computer performs unfortunately crashed or some unwanted thing happened, you have to go back to your computer. Then there's no any issue. Think it's a, if something is, your computer is crashing continuously after installing some sort of software, you have uninstalled the software, still the issue is there. Think such kind of scenario. At that case, if you have a restore point or recovery point, then you may go back to time. As an example, if you created the recovery point yesterday, you can make your computer settings and other related stuff to make it yesterday. So your computer works like where you have created your restore point. We will do it in a practical way. I'll create a recovery point. I'm going to recovery actually not this point. I'll do it different way. Restore point, right? I'll create a restore point here, right? Then I'll click here. This is something easy. Then moving this activity. Now you may see I have moved to recovery point or the system protection category. Then I can click this system restore. Then I'll go to next. Then you may see there's a restore point that I have created little bit early. Then I can go back and I can confirm and finish, but I'm not finishing because it takes some time. I'll cancel it. Now this is the restore story. Still, if you are not clear, we'll start from creating. Now we are going to start create a restore point. This is the initial point. Now I have shown you the system restore points. Now this is how to create a recovery point or restore point. Now first of all we have to click this create. Then we can give a small description if to make sure that to remember our restore point. Then I'll make it as temp with like the date something. This is the recovery date and time is almost it's in there, but to identify the it's a name, so I created a name with temp. So I'm creating. Now you may see now it's 8:45, sorry 8:44. I create it. Now system is create a point that my computer currently states, where my currently computer states. It's just a point that blocks, it stores all the information where my computer hangs in this point. Okay, if my computer corrupts tomorrow, if my computer programs slash some sort of some issue occurred, then I can come back to today. Now think tomorrow is the issue is occurring, then I can come back to today 8:45, and that's the restore point, right? Now you may see this restore point is successfully created. I'll pause it. Now I can go to system restore again. I can go to system restore again. Now you may see the description. There's a there's a small description. This description means the name that I have mentioned and date and time, today this time, right? So this is another restore point that I have created little bit earlier to demonstrate you. This is the restore point that you have seen. So each and every month if you can keep a manual restore point, that means your system is very safe, because every month you can, if the last month if your system was some issue is there, then you can go back and come to the last date that system works well. But this is the restore point that system performs well. Now today my computer is working well, right? So tomorrow I'm installing a software. After few hours my computer get crashed. It's okay, I can start the restore point. I can come back to this time. That means now it's almost 47. I can go let my system to move 2 3 minutes back. Right? Yeah, I'm going to do. I'm going to do 3 minutes back. How my system is what performs. Now before that, make sure now at the moment there's no any corruptions in my system, so I can't show many of situations. But if you keep continuous restore points in one day, it might be really helpful for you. And make sure to before go to whatever the restore point, there might be 10 restore points or so restore points. Make sure to scan for the affected programs, right? The other point that I want to mention here is I want to show more restore points. So once I click here, I can see automatically defines these two. I haven't defined these two restore points are automatically defined by Windows. This situation, first of this June, I have removed subsystem for Linux update. Right, I have removed. This is an uninstallation, a software I have uninstalled, and you may see it's a type of uninstallation. That means at this day I have uninstalled a software, so Windows kept a record that I have removed this software. If I need to go back, then I can go to this date and start the operating system to run again. Right? But this is not meant that something uninstalled and you can get back the uninstalled software here. That means you can move your computer or get back to your computer. You can travel your time to past in this time, in this date, in this time. And the other thing, there's an installer. There's an install type. These two are automated. These two I haven't created. These are done by system. So it's again another installation. It was happening this date and this time. Clear? Now these are automatically happening. But we can do again these manual operations too. Now, what do you mean by a system restore or recovery? Means you are moving your computer to a backdate date, yesterday or last week or last month or whatever the date. That is a date that executes your computer perfectly. So I'm creating a manual thing once my computer working perfectly, to make sure why I'm doing this restore activity, to make sure my computer runs perfectly. If something corrupts, I can go back to the date and I can run my applications, right? But if you have done after some important work in between these days, think I want to, like if I move to 1st of June, there might be some situations happening here. Some documents are installed, some important updates are done, something has happened, everything will be lost. Everything will be lost. That's the risk that you realize. So if you are keeping weekly restore points, that means your computer is more secure, right? But if you are keeping daily, it's really hard. We'll come to that point. We'll create a backup for such situation. But for a system, it's the best thing is like monthly or weekly is more than enough, right? Now you know how to create this restore point. I'll restore to this point, just the lecture started. Then I'll scan for the affected programs, because I want to make sure what are the things, what are the situations after performing this backup uh, system restore, what are the things that affect to my computer, what are the things I'm losing, right? So it scans for a while, for a small time, then it will show in this place. Now after doing a system backup restore, now it's almost 52, 852. Now if we restore, it won't move to this time, right? The time won't change, system just changed, right? Now we'll experience it. Now no, nothing is detected, no worries, I can close it. I can move to next. Then uh, it's a manual recovery restore point. I'm going to system restore to this manual time which was happening this time. Then I'll finish it. System can be interrupted. Do you want to complete? You may say yes, and you can realize your system is getting like it gets some time. For meanwhile, I'm doing no, but you can make sure yes, because you have some sort of like lot of time, so you can do yes and experience it. There's nothing happen, just it restores your computer to the time that you have created. Don't worry, nothing will happen because while this time for last 10 minutes you haven't done anything, so no worries, nothing will happen to your computer. But keep it, make sure to keep it once every month, first or 31st or whatever date, to keep a manual restore point that makes your computer more stable. Because if something happens corrupted, you can back to your time, right? So do it continuously. One day you will realize very important point in your computer life, right? So I'll make it no, and I'll cancel my program, and I'll go back. So now I have discussed about recovery manager and file management utility. Archivers. So now we will discuss about archivers. I will go to my desktop, and there are set of files in here. What I'm doing is I'm selecting everything. I have click and drag my mouse pointer. Then I'll right click and I can send to compressed zip folder. So since it's there's nothing, it was completed within few seconds. Hello everyone. Still we are discussing about system software. Under system software, another important category is language translators. So today I'm going to do a lecture on language translators. Language translators. Language translators can be language translators can be divided into mainly three components: assemblers, compilers, and interpreters. So today discussion will go through these three components and what's a language translator. So what's a uh, language translator, or initially what's a translator? You may see, you may have used some sort of translator like Google Translate. So what it performs is it uh, takes some language, it might be English text, and you translate into some another language to Sinhala language. Or you might take Japanese text and you might translate into English, whatever. There are two languages are involving. So this translator is performing this translation process from one language to another language. Right? In the same way, you may see uh, there's a Japanese person is speaking here, and there's a person who is speaking in Sinhala. So now these two people needs to discuss something, some important factor, or some sort of discussion should be communication should happen. This person speaking in Japanese, so this person can't understand it, and this person is speaking in Sinhala, so this person can't understand it. So the solution is we have to hire a translator who can understand both Japanese and Sinhala. So this translator would understand Japanese as well as Sinhala language. So this is interesting, right? So what this person can do, this person can understand whatever this person is speaking here, and whatever the things that this person speaking here. So Japanese person can express his ideas to this translator, and translator can communicate via the after translate language. This is Japanese language. It transfers into Sinhala and communicate to this person. Then this person can communicate in the other way around, speak in Sinhala, and this translator would understand what's the context or what's the idea, and translate the same text to Japanese person. So this is the translation process. Like two languages are involving. This translator is having high possibility or very good understanding about both languages. Now you are clear what's the translator's job. And the same way, this is a machine, this is a human language or natural language. This is a source code, this is a program, this is a software piece. It's a starting component of a software piece, which is known as a program code. This is small software, this is small program code. You may see it's a Java code written in Java language, but it's in English. This is English class customer private string, so you can understand. This is natural language. This is a natural language. Natural language means a language that humans are using. So it was written in English language in this case. So what we required is, we required a translator to make sure to this computer to understand or machine language. This computer would not understand this language. So we need to translate using a translator. We need to translate to one zeros. As a human, you may not understand what is this human. This is one zeros. There are set of ones and zeros. But computer would understand what is this ones and zeros. Computer would not understand this English text. So there should be a translator in between these two entities, right? So this is a translator. Computer operating systems, under computer operating systems, we can find a translator for convert a program code into a machine code. That is the job. Now we will discuss about assemblers. Assembler is a program for converting instruction written in low-level symbolic code into machine code. So, what's the meaning in here? It's a program that converting instructions. Initially, like time back, half a decade back, or sometime back, 1950s, it was written in low-level symbolic languages, right? So, this is more machine friendly than human friendly. So, it's a low level symbolic code into machine code. It's very older mechanism for translation. It's another translation mechanism called as assemblers. Low level symbolic language is a code that nearly similar to machine code. It's not a machine code exactly, but instead it's like a machine code. It's nearly like a machine code. Usually, what we have to understand is the first generation computers. First first generation computer programmers done their job using binaries. It might be very hard. It was, I think, it's really hard job, but they have done it. There's the second. Now it's really hard. So the second generation computer programmers started. At that time, the assembly languages, there's a set of languages, a new language. Now currently what you know, the programming languages, Java, Python, Ruby, C sharp, kind of programming languages are there, right? So in the same way, these are the assembly languages. These assembly languages are more powerful, and they are required to convert assembly language into Sorry, there's a small mistake. Assembly language to machine language. So what we want to do is assembly code into a machine code. So for that we need an assembler. What the assembler's job is translating assembly language into machine language. Now these are highly involved with the registers and memory addresses because it's directly speaking or directly call or directly invoke the memory addresses, and it directly writes into registers. These are very hard work at the moment. Now currently you don't want to do this, right? And an example is x86-64 assembly language. There's an argument, still it's high employed. For now, as per my perspective, it might be highly employed, not for the general public like general developers. It might be for some sort of another branch of developers. So this is a reference that you can, uh, if you really like to learn about assembly languages or the x64 x84 64 assembly language, you may refer this document. It contains whole lot of information. It's not mandatory for your case. It's not mandatory for your case, but if you really like, you can go through this document. It's really interesting. If you really like, it's far beyond your scope, right? So somehow you should know what's an assembler, what's assembly language, and why we need to translate into assemblers into machine code. That's all that I want to uh, teach you. Now you may see a diagram in here, like this is assembly language. Move these things. So this is the code that they have written, and there's a link to make the sequences running properly. Assembler is also here. So by combining these two, the machine would understand one zeros. This is English or the natural language. It was translated into one zeros. Now you may see this translation was done by the assembler. Not only the assembler, there's a supportive package called linker also. You may learn that also. It's okay, but the core purpose that I want to make is this assembler and linker supports to translation mechanism. You can understand this English language was translated into one zeros. This is the programmer and this is the processor. Processor would understand one zeros and programmer would understand English or a natural language. Compiler. Now, a compiler is a primarily used for programs that translate source code from a high level programming language to machine level code to create executable program. Now, there's a word called again high level programming language. A high level programming languages are the programming language that was developed for most of the part. It's written in English and it's highly employed, and these are the powerful languages. uh, Low level languages are more hardware friendly, but these are more user friendly languages are written in high level programming languages. So these contain some sort of syntax. Not only in the previous time low level languages used directly call to the memory. So these are not much involved that case. So the compiler would do the majority of the cases. The program in the high level programming languages are to written in English language. So now the text writing is done. This is another programming code. Then if there's any error in the compiler, then we can immediately update the developer with the technical conflict. There's some sort of error, some sort of issue, you might find it immediately. If you have developed any Java program, you may see compile time errors. These are doing by the compiler, right? So you will learn while you are learning your education path is growing, you will learn these compilers sooner or later. For now, what you should understand is you should know there's a high level programming language to convert into machine level languages. So this translation is done by the compiler and interpreters. Interpreter is a computer program that directly executes instructions when written a program or scripting language without requiring them previously to have been compiled into machine language program. Now there's a disadvantage because in compilers we need to translate into one stage, then it should translate by using interpreter, and it's a time consuming process, but it's very robust, right? So instead of that compiler, we can directly use interpreters which interprets to the computer. It say what I want to do directly into convert into a machine language code. This is very powerful mechanism and very time less consuming activity. Some programming languages like Python, MATLAB, Ruby, these are programming languages that use an interpreter. I have given a link for you if you're really interested to learn about this far more, or you want to prove Python is an interpreter. You can refer this document. Now, the next point, transpilers. Now, at the moment, we have discussed about three things. First one is assemblers, then compilers, then interpreters. Now, these are transpilers. Transpiler. Now, it's a source-to-source compiler. This is very modern technique. Transpilers involved with some type of transformation of abstraction of source files. Commonly involves stages a legacy code into stable version, so you might not understand what's in there. Let me explain it. Now, a situation like initially Python 2.0, 2.1, 2.2, likewise 2 versions are there. And all of a sudden, there was a huge modification for Python 3.1, 3 point whatever X means something 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, such kind of thing. So this modification was done. Now think, now you have developed your program in Python 2.3. Now some of features are depreciated or it's not working furthermore, but some sort of functions are added. Now you want to convert this code Python 2.3 into 3.1. Think it's 3.1. How you should convert this code or the same programming language Python, it's a same program. This is the legacy code. Legacy code means, see, this is the word legacy code. Legacy code means some sort of historical code or some sort of time back it was written. Sometimes it might be old version or sometimes it might be old mechanism. This was happened for JavaScript. It was huge modification. And there's another source package, actually it's a framework called Angular. It was totally changed again. At such cases, the legacy code into stable version. Now this is the stable version. Now you are using Python 3 point something. It might be 3.7 or 9. Now you want to convert this legacy code into the stable version. For that we have to use transpiler. Now I'll go again. Transformation of abstraction of source files. Now what's that? It involves with the transformation. It transform from one to another package or another file, abstraction of source files. You are converting. Abstraction means, it's like not fully completed, or it's like time back or old, or it's not fully completed. It's like partial developed or partial satisfied. Python 3.3 something would be accept up to some extent of Python 2 point something, right? 3 2.1, 3.2 would accept something. It's abstraction of 2 point is not fully abstract, fully not accepted, but abstractly accepted. So it's transformation of abstraction of source files. Now I want to change this Python 3.2.2 something to Python 3 point something. Now this is transpiler. This is the transpiler. It transforms one phase to another. Application softwares. Today we are going to speak about application softwares. First of all, we'll go a small introduction of what is an application software. Application software focuses on a specific task to be completed using computer. So these are very simple things. These are the softwares that we speaking day to day, or the applications or apps and different names. We are discussing these things. These are the smaller softwares. It might be a software that requires lot of RAM, or it might be a small mobile application software. Still, everything is a software that we are speaking in here. Some examples are Microsoft Word, Adobe Photoshop, Google Chrome, Firefox, and many thousands, millions of applications are you are using day to day, your life, your mobile phone, your desktop, your web applications, lot of things are there. So everything is under this application context. These are installed. If these are installed on top of operating system, on top of an operating system, that means you are using this software piece for your work. Now, application softwares can be categorized into mainly two categories. First one is a generic software. What do you mean by a generic software? Is a software that is developed for the common use cases. That means for the development purpose, there is no specific end user, but commonly everyone. But commonly everyone. Example is Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word would not develop for a specific person, but it was developed for a large scale of users. That means for everyone who needs a word processor, everyone needs some sort of word processing activity. Microsoft Word supports for that. For Microsoft Corporation is tracking everyone, not a specific person. There are a lot of softwares, Microsoft Word, Photoshop, Google Chrome, even Firefox. Everything was developed not with the mind of a specific person, but with the mind of everyone to be support, or the majority was nearly 90 percentage or 99 percentage, it was supported. Now bespoke, the other application software category is a bespoke software or the customized software. It's developed for a specific requirement by a client. That means if a software is developed only for a specific client, we will give an example. If a software is using by British Telecom PLC, think this company would work only within their company. For that purpose, they want to develop a software. What they are doing is they are finding a firm or a consultancy firm or software development firm to develop their requirement. This is a specific requirement for this person. So that is the development project or the some sort of development activity is doing only for that specific person or the specific requirement set. Development company would only target for the client's requirements. It would never hear to the everyone in the world. So if you are starting a company, it might be a new company, whatever the purpose, it might be another transportation company to transport using helicopters. think a situation like that. Now you want to develop a software for you. You want to track your items. Now you're developing a huge product. It's a helicopter development, right? So you want to track the items, you want to track the process, you want to test the things. So it's specifically for you, not for a specific, not for a, for everyone, but for specific requirement. So your development company would develop only for your requirement. It tests whatever you want, and that software would supports only specific cases. Sometimes if you want to develop only which is running under Linux operating systems, some sort of flavor, then what your development company or the software development company would do is it follows only the instructions that given by the client. Now you are clear about what is a generic software and a bespoke software. And there's another categorization actually. This is very recent categorization. Web, mobile, and desktop actually very recently added IoT also, but for now I'm speaking about these three. Web applications are providing access for the information anywhere in the world. So these applications are mainly like example as an example Google Chrome, right? And these are web applications. It provides internet connectivity. These softwares and mobile applications, there are a lot of mobile applications are there in the world, no need to tell again. uh, it provides location aware, that means wherever you are, your mobile device is, if your mobile device is with you, you can connect to whatever the application that you have installed in your mobile device. It might be your mobile phone or it might be some another device. Desktop applications are the generic applications that develop for desktop users commonly, like applications that require high processing in your computer, or if it requires a large screen, at that cases desktop applications or the commonly day-to-day activities that you are using. So you might see these commonly in banks, desktop applications, lot of desktop applications, insurance companies, they are using lot of desktop applications. So now we have good understanding about what is an application software, a small definition, examples, and small categorization, generic and bespoke, as well as web, mobile, and desktop applications. So this is an overview or an introduction for application softwares. Right. Software examples. Now I'm going to present some sort of continuously. I'm going to present about some sort of software examples like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, different situations. I'm going to discuss about these things. We'll discuss one by one now. The first one is a word processor. This is a generic software that is involved for textual activities like report generation. Different things are there. So you might have used at least one text processor. Rich features are there, such as grammar and text spelling. So you might have seen that a small underline if something gone wrong, your spellings is incorrect, it's some if something grammatically incorrect. I'm speaking about Microsoft Word, and the other LibreOffice also supporting the same way, and there are some another might work. You may check everything. Now currently everything like having rich features. So these are like grammar checking, spell checking, and not only that, you may see word suggestions also currently happen in there. Word suggestions, the next word is suggested by this software, very rich softwares. And you can dictate, you can speak, and program will write. Word processors are doing, right? If you speak whatever, you it will dictate automatically and it's writing in your Word document. Text processor, these are very rich features in currently. And all of these are word processors. There is examples for word processor. Let us start to discuss about spreadsheet software. A spreadsheet is a computer application for organize, analyze, and storage of data in tabular form. So, what's a spreadsheet application or spreadsheet software is that is used for organization and analysis and storage. There are three components in here of data in tabular form. That means tables. Hope you have learned about tables in grade 7, 8, 6, 7, 8 probably. It's a table. Probably you know what's a table, right? A table is like kind of this kind of thing. This is a table. There are few columns are there, and you are inserting attributes into here under the fields. So this spreadsheet application is specially designed for such kind of data to be stored. We can store in data. I'll give an example. Microsoft Excel, Google Sheet, whatever. It can store some sort of data. In Excel, we can store some sort of data and we can organize the data. We can make it as ascending order, we can make it as descending order or whatever. And analyze. We can perform an analysis on the data in here and we can give an output. So now it's clear what a spreadsheet application is. It's just another application to make sure the data, once the data is in tabular form, then we can use that data to organize, analyze, and storage. That's a spreadsheet software. Next, presentation software used as a powerful tool when performing a presentation that is required some interactive graphics and other animated details. So examples are PowerPoint, slides, Impress likewise. So what's the presentation software is a software kind of PowerPoint. So now you can realize the use of presentation software. Once we are required to do a presentation, most of the cases we are using a PowerPoint presentation. And when we need some interactive graphics to demonstrate or explain some sort of activity that is happening in there, we need some sort of interactive graphics. In that case, presentation softwares are really supportive. Right? And the animations, we can perform small animations, not highly interactive animated graphics. Instead of we can perform a small graphics, kind of a small activities we can perform, and we can demonstrate easily without any highly processing animation softwares. So that's the presentation software. Web browsers. Now, there are graphical user interfaces that allow to interact with the internet resources. Now, web browsers, some sort of examples are Google Chrome, Firefox, and there are a lot of web browsers are there. So, what we need of this web browser is to connect or to browse, or we want to extract. We want to find some sort of internet resources. In that case, we if we required graphical user interface GUI, then web browsers are the best fit for your requirement. You have to install web browser to browse or surf your internet, unless it's really hard. So the simply this is the easiest way. Graphics softwares. Now, graphics softwares are used for processing digital graphical illustrations. So, whenever we need to perform an activity that is related to graphics, especially if we want to develop a canvas, want to create a banner, digital banner, if you want to create a design a photo, if you want to create a new develop, or if you want to filter or apply some sort of another interesting component, like if you want to change the brightness, if you want to change the contrast, and lot of, like if you have used Photoshop, there are the hundreds of functionalities are there, like we can add filters, lot of things we can apply. So these are graphic softwares, we can perform graphical activities, lot of graphical activities are related to images, so it requires high processing, that's common. So if you are using a graphical software, it might require some sort of additional space from your some additional energy from your CPU, so that's normal. So my recommendation is minimize using these graphic softwares. If that is only required, keep it in your computer. If not, you may uninstall that graphic software, because as per my experience, it's getting your laptop or desktop to be slow. But it's, if it is your job, if it is your uh, earning point, then it's mandatory, right? So you have to use graphic software unless it's minimize it. But somehow the common case, graphic softwares are for digital graphical processing. Software suites. So, what's a software suite? Commonly known as a collection of softwares. So, you may have heard act as a collection of software packages distributed as by organization. Like Adobe provides a set of tools as inbuilt package, a set of tools, CS pack, installed with Photoshop, Illustrator, and lot more. In the same way, Office shipped with a set of software utilities, Word, Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, Microsoft Excel, kind of things are there. So you may realize software suite, it's a collection of softwares. So it's a it's packed not as a single, it's packed as a collection. So some companies are delivering like that. Now there are some advantages and disadvantages both. But somehow you have to understand according to the situation. Like if you are using all graphics, so you may use a pack. It might be advantage for you. If you are using separated things, then you can use separated softwares. It's okay. If you want to use only Microsoft Word, Microsoft offers it, then we can download it and use it. But if you are purchasing a pack that has more advantages, and sometimes there might be some softwares that you are not using all the time, that's one of disadvantage. But we have to find out, or we have to mitigate these issues. It's okay. We have to follow up, where we have to follow what are the advantages and disadvantages, and we have to take the suitable decision. Now next point that I want to discuss is software development tools. One software development tool, one of major or most important or valuable software development tool is known as integrated development environment, or IDE. An integrated development environment (IDE) is software for building applications that combines common developer tools into single graphical user interface. So you may, if you really interested, you can refer more from this link. I have given the link in here. So what's the purpose of this IDE? Is source code editor, and it's a debugger. So It has lot of functionalities integrated to a single software package. So software development under software development without an IDE, you may unable to perform proper software development activity. That's the case, especially if you are a software developer or software engineer or mobile application developer or a web application developer, whoever. If it is related to source codes, if you are using, if your job role is related to software engineering or application engineering or whatever related to source code, that means you can't live a without an IDE. So IDE used to code. While we are performing coding, we required lot of activities. We want to debug it. We want to modify something. We want to change, edit, and we want to run it. And there are a lot more sophisticated mechanisms like additional plugins, support for lot of things, and there are a lot of activities we can do like beautify, uglify. Everything can be performed very easily by using an integrated development environment or an IDE. Commonly, like Eclipse for Java development, and we can see VS Code, Visual Studio Code. It's one of very popular IDE, and another IDE is like and these IDEs are very important. Right now, you are clear why what is a software development toolbox and IDE. So I will show you a small demonstration on IDE. I'll show the overviews. First of all, I'll show you Visual Studio Code. So I have installed my Visual Studio Code in here. So if you type VS Code, you may get the Visual Studio Code. This is the Visual Studio Code. Then you click it. Once you click it, it will load your IDE Visual Studio Code. So this is this is an IDE. So if you want to create a new file, we can simply create a new file. Then I'm going to save it desktop as yes. I can see lot of whole lot of extensions are there. We can develop by using this IDE. Lot of things, lot of programming languages are involved. I'll use Python in here. Then I'll save. Then I'll type print hi. So this is just a simple source code or simple code that I have developed. Then since I have used this IDE, I can just use this button, then click it. Then I can open my terminal and get the output. So if you have used Python launcher, you may realize it's not easy. It's really hard. Right? So you can see the output is here. Very simple. So this is Visual Studio Code IDE. So you can do a lot of coding activities. You may see create new terminals, and if you want to combine with the create a Jupyter notebook, or if you want to initialize the Git, and you can push the repositories in the same way. If you want some advanced features like Docker, everything is inbuilt, like not inbuilt, like plugins are there. It's built with my package with my IDE, so I can use my IDE and perform everything in one single place. So this is very interesting part. You may learn further. I'll demonstrate another thing, Eclipse. Eclipse also another IDE. So I'll show the GUI and basic things related to Eclipse also. Eclipse is mainly using by Java developers, but Python is using lot web developers, Python developers, even Java developers can involve with Visual Studio Code. But majority of the cases, still Eclipse is in the top. There are paid IDEs also. If you are using paid IDE, you may get some sort of additional sophisticated features too. Uh, these are these both of these are freely available. You will download it without any issue. You can use these two softwares. Very simple. These IDs. But somehow, what I want to explain here is what's an IDE and why we required an IDE, and what are the things we can perform by using an IDE. So I believe that you are clear about what's an IDE. Somehow this Eclipse is getting loading a little bit slower. We'll move to the next slide while it's loading. I'll close my Visual Studio Code since it's not worth for now. The next point that I want to discuss here is database management softwares. So, what's a database? What's a database? Database is nothing. It's just a location that store your data. In simple means it's more than enough. It's a database. Right? So, under database management softwares, mainly focusing on data management tasks, and you may see DBMS, database management systems, to perform these database management tasks. These are included create, store, update, delete, and you can assign roles, you can delete roles, user roles. User roles means with the privileges. Privileges means what you can do for this database. That kind of things are there. You may learn database more deeply in near future, but somehow for now, what should you know is a database management software is a software that can work or that can use to create, manage, create, update, delete, and some kind of like data related stuff, as well as administrative part also there. That means we can assign different roles. Like as an example, if we want to make someone to only view the code, not to modify, we can assign it the data. We can assign some roles to view only special views. Special view means special part of the database. We'll get an example. If we have a large database, it consists of different data, student information, student marks, payments, and other stuff also there. So what I'm speaking here is view. View means for a teacher, for a lecturer, or some another external party constructor contractor do not need to know whether you have paid or not for this semester. At that case, we can hide that information and we can allow that specific required or specifically required details to only for that person. The teacher uh, is okay with your payments, so no need to worry about that data. But your administrative, your financial department, they required your payments. They don't care about much about your other instruments. Lecturers just care about your marks, your attendance, and other stuff, right? So these views can be, these are the different views in the database. We can assign these uh, views according to different situation or different requirements. We can assign, so these are the activities that we can do by using a database management system. And what you have to understand is database management software is a software that can use to manage data, not only data but also related to related information related to the data. So I told about these roles and to grant access, store in the database.